Have you ever had a website project just spiral so far out of control that you considered closing down your agency? Well, that happened to me 3 times in just 1 year until I created this framework that eliminated not just scope creep, but the endless revisions ever since I started using it. Now, let me tell you the exact moment that I hit rock bottom in my agency. It was about 2 in the morning. I'm sitting in my office just staring at my computer screen, trying to implement another round of small changes for a client project that was supposed to be done months ago. What had started as a simple 4-week website build was now in month 7. My client was blowing up my email inbox, demanding updates. My team was burning the midnight oil, working nights, working on weekends. And here's the kicker. We're losing money every single hour we put into it at this point. And trust me, this wasn't just some one-off nightmare client. This was the 3rd project that year that went completely off the rails. And I was seriously thinking about just giving up and quitting and going and getting a regular job. But that night, I made a decision. I either had to figure out this scope creep madness, or I was going to have to close up shop. But what I discovered over the next few weeks absolutely transformed my business. I developed what I call now the client expectation framework, a systematic approach to setting and managing client expectations. And let me tell you, not only did it eliminate scope creep and the endless revisions, but it increased my profit margins by 30% easily. And today, I'm going to walk you through the exact framework that saved my business. Okay, so here's the big insight that changed everything for me. Scope creep isn't just a client problem, it's a systems problem. When my projects were going off the rails, it wasn't because my clients were trying to squeeze everything out of me. It was because I didn't have the right systems in place to manage the project properly. Let me give you a real example from my own business. I had this client, let's call her Melissa. That's not a real name. I wouldn't say her real name. Not in this video, but we'll call her Melissa. And she hired me to build an e-commerce website. During our sales call, looking back on it during the sales call, I was just so eager and just so focused on getting her to close the deal and collect the credit card that I made some massive mistakes. I ended up giving her this vague ballpark of when we'd be finished without actually walking her through each step of the project. And when she ended up asking about adding some additional features, I'd casually say, sure, yeah, we could do that, without actually letting her know how that would affect the timeline in getting the project done. And once we had approved the design and developed the site, I actually gave her the development URL. I wasn't trying to be lazy. I was just trying to maximize my time, the little time that I had each day, because I wanted her to go through the site on her own time and create a list of revisions. But through the sales process, she had all of my information. So she was sending me text messages, sending me emails, and even calling me. Basically, she was communicating with me any way she wanted, all over the place, without any structure or boundaries. The result, a complete disaster. I mean, the project dragged on for months and months and months, costing me thousands in unpaid work. And by the end, we were both frustrated and resentful towards each other. And here's the thing. The problem wasn't Melissa. The problem was me and my lack of systems. And after that is when I developed the client expectation framework, a complete system for managing clients' expectations from the start of a project all the way through to the end. But before I get into the 7 key elements that changed everything for me, I want you to know that I've done a series where I dive a lot deeper into every single stage of the client expectation framework. I show you how to apply this philosophy and what I say to my clients at each and every important stage of the project. This not only eliminated like 90% of my frustration, but it increased my profit significantly, and projects got done so much faster and the clients were so much happier. And most importantly, I had happy clients 99.9% of the time. So let's get into the 7 key elements. Stay on to the end because number 7 is the one that most people forget about, and it's the freaking most important one. Number 1, create a visual project roadmap. So instead of just randomly, vaguely saying timelines, like I had it written out. Obviously, they have like some type of completion date. Usually people have some type of date that they want, right? But starting off from the first, we'd schedule, on the sales call, I'd literally say like, all right, the first step is we're going to schedule a discovery call. And from that discovery call, I'm going to need about 2 weeks to do research. And that now is this date. So I arbitrarily say, if you sign up today and we schedule for Monday, 2 weeks from then is going to be this date. So that discovery stage is going to be done by this date. And then we're going to take 2 weeks for design. and we'll have those designs for you around this date. And then once you approve that, we have no idea what's going to happen. We have no idea like how long you're going to take to get back to us, how many revisions we're going to end up doing. It's different for everyone. It's not a big deal, but we know once we get approved designs back, then from that point, we're going to develop it, and it's going to take, 60 days. So that would be if there were no revisions and you just picked out one and we're like, this is the one I want to go with, then great. We're going to have it developed at this time. We're going to need an extra week to test. So that would be testing would be done at this time. And then we're going to, go through it together, and you might have some revisions at that point. So however long that takes is however long it takes. And which, by the way, in each phase, we got about 3 rounds of revisions that are included in the project. So I have a very special way, and I'll go over it with you in a little bit, how we can maximize each revision. So we're not just, doing a little thing here, doing a little thing there, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're done with those 3 revisions, and you're like, I still got stuff left. We want to make sure we get it done in the first or second round. So I'll go over that with you in a second. And then a big part of that is how fast you respond to it. So when we give you, information, or we ask you questions, we've had clients that they wouldn't get back to us for like 3 weeks. And I want you to know that that's going to push out all these dates from there. So it's very important that the timeline we have here is you getting back to us within 24 hours. And anytime it goes longer than that, it's going to push these dates out. But we're going to work off of this so we're always are on the same page, and we both have the same expectation of when we're going to complete this project. Does that sound fair? I always like saying, does that sound fair? You get their verbal commitment. Now, as I'm going over this on the sales call, I also send it to them after the sales call so that they have it, and then I reference it at every single stage, every single phone call or Zoom call. I should say Zoom call. We don't do phone calls anymore. Every Zoom call now, I reference that. And let's be fair. Our clients, they have 100 different things going on. Their website project is not their top priority. So they're not going to remember everything from a phone call. So bringing that up and showing that timeline at every single stage of the project helps them know and helps them remember, helps us stay on the same page. And it eliminates the, I thought we were further along conversations that we all love and know and hate those type of conversations. Because without being reminded of those expectations, they end up in their minds somewhere along the line in the process, creating their own false expectations. And when you don't meet those false expectations, it creates an upset. And now your client's upset. Now you're trying to put out the fires and make sure that they're happy. And that's a terrible place to work from. And number 2, set realistic timelines with a buffer. Now here's a rule that I live by now. Whatever my team says, whatever they tell me, hey, we're going to get this done in this time, I literally just double that. So if my developer says, hey, I'll have that done in 4 weeks, I go to the client all right, we're going to have it done in 8 weeks. And this gives me a buffer for when things inevitably go sideways. And it allows me to deliver early rather than late. And I also make sure to constantly be reiterating to them the variables that can cause a project to go on longer than what we have on our timeline. Again, how quickly they provide feedback, how many revision rounds we go through, how long it takes to actually schedule and get on a call with them, and of course, any unexpected technical challenges. And this sets the expectation that the timeline is completely fluid and it's dependent upon both of us. It's not just our responsibility to hit that deadline. And number 3, establish clear boundaries around revisions. This was an absolute game changer for me. Now I specify exactly how many rounds of revisions they get, which for me, it's usually 3. And what happens if they want or need more. Spoiler, it's going to cost more. I explained that a round of revisions is us getting all the revisions that they want at once, and then we go and work on them and complete them. This is what happens. This is what drives me nuts, and probably drives you nuts too, is, you get the revisions back and you're working on them, and they're like, I noticed another thing. I noticed another thing. I noticed another thing. Hey, I talked to my Uncle Sue. Uncle Sue? All right, in this day and age, sure. I talked to my Uncle Sue, and them freaking don't like this, and we want to start over again. I'm just kidding. That's a random one. But you probably had something like that happen before. I have. It's like, we'd get all the way through the development, and they'd send me a website and say, I really like this website. Man, we already got an approved design and we developed it. It's done. You want that one? We got to start from scratch. You're paying me again. But back in the day, it wasn't like that. Oh, yes, sir. I'd jump and freaking just do whatever I could to make sure that they were happy, even though it cost me money and almost made me lose my freaking sanity. and specifying how many rounds of revisions they have, exactly how they work, and reminding them, like, I'm not here to nickel and dime you on the revisions, but I'm here to save you time and me time. And I have a process and a system that's going to allow us to get the revisions all at once so that we're not having to do this back and forth that's going to drive you nuts and which is going to drive us nuts. All right, on to number 4. Controlling when and how they see their progression. One of my biggest mistakes, like I said earlier, was giving the development URL to the client too early. They'd just be checking it constantly, see things that weren't finished, and just be frustrated and constantly asking for updates. Why are they not working on this? This wasn't finished. I submitted that yesterday and it's not done yet. So what I do now is I only show them the progression on a Zoom call. I'm able to share my screen. I'm in control of it, so I can provide context and go through it each page instead of just bouncing all over the place. It's like starting with the home page, nav bar, this section, any revision, next page, all right, any revisions. And I explain this policy to them up front. I don't call it a policy though. I say this is just part of the process. And this is how it goes. I act like a doctor that's giving directions to a prescription. I'm the authority. I know how this works. I know how it's going to help you. Go do this, right? But most of our clients are smart business owners. They usually like things their way. And they're like, I want to do it like this. I think this is going to help me. I think this is a better way of doing it. However they say it. I simply ask them, hey, do you want the project to take longer or shorter? Do you want it to cost more money? Or do you want it to cost what we budgeted and we got a proposal number on, our finalized number? You want it to cost more than that or just that? Do you want to be super frustrated through the entire process, or do you want to be happy-go-lucky during the entire project? Of course, they're like, no, I want it fast and cheap and I want to be happy. Of course you do, right? I'm the professional. I do this every single day. This is the process that's going to get it done fast, get it done cheap, and also get it done without any frustrations. If we vary outside of this process, it's going to take longer, it's going to cost more, and we're both going to be frustrated. I'm the professional. I want you to trust me. Just like if I was, coming to get an insurance policy from you, I wouldn't tell you how to write the policy because you do that on a daily basis. You're the professional. I'm there to trust you. Does that make sense? They're like, yeah. And most smart people are fine with that. I tell them at like each important stage, when we're ready to go over revisions, we schedule a call with me, you, not me anymore, but the project manager, them, and also any other decision makers. A lot of times when you have bigger companies, like they got people from different departments and they look at it and then you do revisions and then you got someone else saying the opposite. They want it turned back the way that it was. It's just madness. It's like we need everybody that is going to be a decision maker on these calls because we're going to outline it together. And that's it. Again, this is going to help get it done faster. You're not going to have to pay extra for extra rounds of revisions, and you're not going to get frustrated. This also helps in reestablishing those expectations again. And it lets them know that you have their back. Like you're not trying to nickel and dime them. You're not trying to squeeze every bit of money out of them. You're like, I'm trying to do this the most efficient way possible so you don't have to spend more money. This one change eliminated so many panic emails and phone calls that would just derail our projects. Because when you have a client that's upset, it's like, you stop what you're doing. All right, let me look into that. Hey, team, what's going on? Tell me about this. Now, my time is wasted. My team's time is wasted. They're reporting back to me. I get back to the client. This is what's going on. We just wasted freaking 30 minutes to an hour that didn't need to be wasted in the first place. Number 5 is document everything and get explicit agreement. After every call, after every decision, I document what was discussed and that we agreed upon. Then I'd send it to the client and ask them to confirm, are we in agreement with this? This includes the exact scope of work, the timeline and specific milestones, the revision process, and what I need from them and by when. I'd let them know to reply to that email with their explicit agreement, and I couldn't move on until I received that from them. And this creates a paper trail that I can reference back to if there's ever any confusion later. Remember this one project that this literally saved me thousands of dollars. The client claimed that I agreed to build a whole course platform, but I was able to pull up the email with the scope, the project scope that was documented and agreed upon, and that they explicitly approved the website build without the course platform. My notes literally on there were, we're putting off the course platform build based on budgetary issues, and we would do that on a later phase of the project. So instead of just doing free work like I'd have to do before when somebody claims something, because I like to make my clients happy, they were like, oh yeah, created a change order, sent out the invoice, collected the money, and added that onto the project. Which leads me to number 6. Have a clear process for handling scope changes. Clients will always just want to add one more thing. Instead of just saying yes or no, I have a clear process on that now. I acknowledge the request positively. I remember before, like, hey, can we add this?
Oh, okay, fine.
Like ridiculous, right? I don't think I acted like that.
In my head, I probably did.
But I'd act positively. I'm like, that's a great idea. I explain the impact. Hey, adding that feature is going to add about 2 weeks to the project, and it's going to add an additional $2,000. Did you want me to send an invoice out for that now? Or did you want to postpone that and possibly add that on, in a later phase? And that put the decision back in their hands, whether they wanted to take the extra time and spend the extra money or put it off for another date, like another phase of the project. But it made it clear making changes midway through the project has consequences. And number 7, the one that most people forget that is most important, is reinforcing those expectations at every phase of the project. Even with clear expectations set at the beginning of the project, people forget. So I'm gently reminding the clients of the timeline throughout the process. I'd be like, as we discussed on our initial call, we're now at the design revision stage. And after this, we'll move into development. And as we're going through revisions, wherever we were, I'd say as an example, like, all right, now we're in the second round of revisions out of 3 rounds. So we really want to make sure we're taking our time and looking at everything so we get everything that we need changed in this round. Just to prevent, I don't want you having to spend more money for more rounds. These gentle reminders prevent misunderstandings before they happen. This one time I had a client that was sending me daily emails with little changes here and there after their 3rd round of revisions was already done. And instead of just doing them, I gently remind them of the policy and offered to write up a change order for the additional revisions. And I was always afraid that would like make people mad or whatever, so I never did it, but it was amazing. People were like, okay, yeah, send it over. All right, cool. And I'd always let people know, like, you're a business owner, you understand, right? Like, you got a project and then a new thing is added. Like, I mean, if you're building a skyscraper, you got a budget, and then all of a sudden the client wanted to add another story on top, like that's going to cost more money. There's more materials that need to be bought. There's changes in the thing. There's people's time. Like, you're paying people hourly to build it, right? Like, there's extra costs, and they get it. Now, here's some practical tips that I've learned from implementing this framework. Number 1, create templates for everything. I have templates for everything: project proposals, scope documents, revision request forms, and change order requests. This ensures that I don't forget anything when I'm communicating with my clients about these things. And number 2 is use visual aids. I create that visual timeline so everybody can see the dates for each milestone. And again, I share this at the beginning in the sales call, and I keep showing it to them at every stage of the project. This helps clients visualize the process, see where they are in the time frame, and they see those time frames changing as they add things to the project, or as they postpone or procrastinate getting back to our emails and answering our questions, or taking forever to book another call, or adding an extra round of revisions, or adding other changes. Number 3 is record the calls. Most of my calls are all done on Zoom now, and I use Fathom to just hit record. It records it, and it has the transcripts there. It just makes everything so much easier. I remember once this guy was like, you told me you would add my products to the website. I was like, it's 300 products, and they didn't want to pay the extra money to have us set up each product. So we were going to set up 10, create a template, and they were like, no, you said you were going to do it. And I went right back to Fathom, or found it in the transcript, the spot where I was like, 300 products. And I was able to show that to them. And it was literally me saying that. And they're like, oh yeah, we don't want to pay for that. So yeah, we'll just do the 10. And he was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot. And he was totally cool with it. But it saved me several thousands of dollars. And again, most people aren't trying to squeeze it out of us. They just don't remember everything. I mean, you're running your own business, right? You're pulled in 100 different directions. Like, remembering everything is not a real thing. Number 4 is to build this framework into your contracts. My contracts now explicitly state the number of revision rounds included, the process for requesting additional revisions, how scope changes are handled, the client's responsibility for providing feedback and approvals. This gives the framework legal backing if needed. But since I started using this framework and everybody had clear expectations and they were shown it every step of the way, I haven't had anybody that's been upset where I had to bring this back and go fight it like, oh, you're suing me. Like nothing, dude. Like I have everything documented and they're reminded so that these things don't happen anymore. And since I implemented the framework in my agency, my project completion time decreased by 40%. Scope creep has been virtually eliminated. My client satisfaction increased dramatically. My team level stress plummeted and my profit margins increased 30%. But the biggest change, I haven't had a single website project spiral out of control like this. The days of me going back and forth on whether I should shut down my business or not are long gone. I remember looking at my profit tracker spreadsheet 6 months after I implemented this framework, and I was completely shocked. Certain projects that were usually like me breaking even were consistently profitable. And the difference wasn't me charging more. It was that there were no longer weeks of unpaid work on projects just to make people happy because I wasn't setting clear expectations from the beginning. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I first developed this framework, I was scared. I was worried clients wouldn't sign up because they'd be turned off by such clear and like hard boundaries. And what really happened was the complete opposite. Clients appreciated the clarity and the structure. It gave them the confidence that I knew what I was doing and that they were in good hands. I also worried about clients pushing back on longer timelines. Like if they're talking to a competitor, they're like, I can get it done in 30 days. And here I am saying it's going to take 60 days, right? But I found that when I explain the variables that affect the timeline and show them that I'm being realistic instead of optimistic, they respected it. And they'd much rather have me deliver early than late. Now, don't get me wrong, I still take on urgent projects. I just charge extra for that rush, or like a rush delivery fee, and make sure the client understands exactly what can and can't be accomplished in that time frame. Look, this client framework not just saved my business, but my health and my sanity. And it transformed my projects from stress-inducing nightmares to smooth, profitable engagements. If you're in the same place I was, dealing with scope creep, endless revisions, and projects that seem to go on forever, I hope sharing my experience helps you find a way to move forward. Remember, the success of my projects weren't determined by my skill set. It was determined by how clearly I set and managed expectations from the beginning. If you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more stories and frameworks from my business journey. And drop a comment and let me know if you've experienced these types of scope creep nightmare projects. And if you're ready to build a dream team or have us build it for you, go ahead in the description and click on the link to watch a video on how insourcing beats outsourcing 100% of the time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.